Okay, so we are going to start. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? How was your weekend? Hello, hi. How are you feeling today? Did you see the snow earlier? Those of you who are in the UK. My weekend was okay. Yes, I did a lot of walking because the weather was beautiful. So a lot of walks in nature. So yes, I did enjoy that. Very sunny weekend indeed. Okay, so how is everyone feeling about the assignment? Do you have any questions? Any burning questions that you would like before we start? Would like to ask?
No worry. All that money sent. All that money is just speaking.
Can I please ask you to switch off your microphones if you are not talking to me? Thank you. Okay, we have Giant who just joined as well. Welcome. Okay, by the way, thank you to all who have voted on the poll for Blackboard or Zoom. So we had a meeting last Friday with the student representatives and with us, Andrew and other managers and other tutors. And I raised this issue there and I said, you know, perhaps some of the students might not be finding Zoom the best or necessarily better than Blackboard. So I thought, okay, I will create a poll. The first one, if you have voted there on Blackboard, unfortunately didn't turn out really well because it was just my first time doing it, so it didn't quite work. So I had to create a new one on Vivox, which is much better. But I have just checked the results, and the funny thing is that, oh yeah, well, 5 minutes ago we had total of 20 responses, and it was exactly 50-50. So 10 of you voted for Zoom and 10 of you for Blackboard. So that didn't really resolve the issue at all. Now I have 21 responses and Zoom is winning by 1 vote. So I don't think that really any changes will be made here, as half of you are happy with Zoom and I have been instructed by the college to use Zoom. Hi, Beatrice. We are just talking about the Zoom and Blackboard issue. Not sure if you have voted as well, because I have created a poll this morning, another one. And I'm just saying that we have half and half, 50-50 responses. So can't really move anywhere from here. Okay. Right, so without further ado, I'm going to start with our lecture for today, which is going to be about, we are going to have a further look at last 2 theories of mass communication, in particular the theories of audience in mass communications. And today we are going to talk about 2-step flow theory and uses and gratifications. So now, has any one of you previously heard about these 2 theories? Yes, this is FD1. I was surprised that you joined. Oh, did I? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Bea. If you want, you can stay here. If you want, you can stay. and I will give you attendance, and you don't have to come tomorrow. Okay, as you want. Yes, so anyone is familiar with these two theories, two-step flow and uses and gratifications? Anyone has previously heard about this? Um, hmm. So, no, not necessarily. You haven't. Okay. Well, I am not surprised. I mean, they are not greatly popular, especially if you haven't studied media studies before. So that's completely fine. It's not common knowledge. So I am hoping that you will find interesting learning about them today. Um, And so let's start. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the two-step flow theory, okay? So the two-step flow theory is a model of communication or a theory of communication that proposes that interpersonal interaction has a far stronger effect on shaping public opinion than mass media outlets actually. So the two-step flow model was formulated in 1948 by Paul Lazarsfeld, Bernard Berelson, and Hazel Godet in their book The People's Choice. After research into voters' decision-making processes during the 1940 US presidential election, okay, so during the 1940s. Now, the theory stipulates or suggests that mass media content first reaches someone, a group of people who are called or referred to as opinion leaders. So, and these are people who are active media users and who collect, interpret, and diffuse the meaning of media messages to less active media consumers. Okay, and so according to the authors, opinion leaders pick up information from the media, and this information then gets passed on to less active members of the public. So this implies that most people will receive information from opinion leaders through interpersonal communication rather than directly from mass media. Okay, now Lazarsfeld, Berelson, and Godet discovered that most voters in the 1940 election got their information about the candidates from other people who read about the campaign in the newspapers and not directly from the media. Okay, so Lazarsfeld, Beresford, and Godet concluded that a word of mouth transmission of information plays an important role in the communication process, and that mass media will only have a limited effect on, limited influence on most individuals. Okay. And so, this theory of the two-step flow of communication reversed the dominant paradigm in mass communication at the time. And can you remember which two theories we said that they have direct influence, or which one theory especially proposed or suggested that mass media have a direct influence on a mass audience who consume and absorb media messages, and then when media were taught to significantly influence people's decisions and behaviors? Hypodermic needle theory, exactly. Hypodermic needle theory, and also to an extent cultivation theory as well. But the theory of the two-step flow reversed this dominant paradigm and actually kind of challenged this notion. Okay, so the research done by Lazarsfeld and others showed that only about 5% of people changed their voting preference as a result of media consumption, and that interpersonal discussions of political issues were more prevalent than consumption of political news within one typical day. Okay, and so factors such as interpersonal communication with family members, friends, and members of one's social and professional circles turned out to be better predictors of a person's voting behavior than that person's media exposure. And these findings came to be also known as the limited effects paradigm of media influence, okay, which was then explicated more fully by Joseph Klapper, which was a main pioneer in this research tradition. Okay, so limited effects paradigm. So what did we say? What is the notion of paradigm? What does it mean? What do we mean by paradigm? Do you remember when I say the word paradigm? Can you recall? Model. Not necessarily a model. If you could expand on it, maybe I could understand it better. What you mean? Um, Anyone else? The word paradigm. It's not something that we particularly focused on, but I mean, if you are studying any sorts of social sciences theory, you will be met with the word, you will meet with the word paradigm. And paradigms are important because then they feed into something what is called in social sciences the epistemology. And so epistemology is the science, or is the study of how we actually uh, interpret knowledge, and how we actually look at things around us, how we actually look at the world around us. And this is also what is meant by paradigm. Paradigm is really, in very simplistic terms, it is a way of seeing something, it is a way of approaching a certain issue, it is a way of studying things. Okay, so if we had previously the direct effects or significant effects or influence paradigm, this indicated that there was this tradition within media research, where most of the researchers in that current period, or in that research tradition, when they actually were looking at the media effects in a particular way. So they were enclosed in this idea that media have significant influence on the viewers. Whereas with this new research done by Lazarsfeld and his colleagues, they actually subverted this notion of this significant effects paradigm, and then they arrived at something what they referred to as limited effects paradigm, when actually this way of seeing the media changed, and therefore also the theories must be positioned within this broader paradigm of limited effects. And then also further studies of media will be always drawing on this limited effects paradigm. Okay, it's a very theoretical, but if any of you are interested in future, doing academic research by any chance, then perhaps it's good to introduce this to you sooner rather than later. Right, and so the theory of two-step flow of mass communication was also further developed by Lazarsfeld together with Elihu Katz in the book Personal Influence. And the book explains that people's reactions to media messages are mediated by interpersonal communication with members of their social environment, okay? And so a person's membership in different social groups, such as family, friends, professional, and religious associations, will have more influence on the person's decision-making processes and behavior than the actual information from mass media. Oh, excuse me, I just see a bit foggy. Okay. And so since the formulation, the theory of the two-step flow of communication has been tested and validated on numerous occasions through replicative studies that looked at how also innovations were diffused into society through opinion leaders and trendsetters, okay? However, the theory came under some criticism in the 1970s and 1980s. And we will have a look at these criticisms a bit more later on. Now, here is a video that I want to show you about two-step flow theory. Okay, it's gonna play now.
Welcome to Media in Minutes, where I talk you through important concepts in media and communication. What do Coney 2012 and former US presidential candidate Al Gore have in common? Well, they're both great examples of communication theory called the two-step flow theory. In the early days of mass communication, people believed that the media had a direct and powerful influence on audiences. This way of thinking about media influence became known as the hypodermic needle theory. Of course, communication is a complex process, and this theory soon proved inadequate. In the 1940s, American sociologist Paul S. Lazarsfeld wrote The People's Choice, a book that summarized his research into the November 1940 presidential election. In the course of his research, he discovered that we're more likely to be influenced by other people than the mass media. Lazarsfeld called these people opinion leaders. Along with Elihu Katz, he later published a book called Personal Influence, in which he provided further evidence for this theory. The two-step flow theory suggests that opinion leaders pay close attention to the mass media and pass on their interpretation of media messages to others. Unlike the hypodermic needle theory, the two-step flow theory maintains that audiences are active participants in the communication process. And it's still a theory that has a little credibility today. In a paper presented at the 20th Annual World Wide Web Conference in 2011, researchers looking at the flow of information on the social networking site Twitter revealed that they'd found significant evidence to support the two-step flow theory. After analysing the flow of information, the researchers discovered that news finds its way to people through a number of prominent and influential opinion leaders. They found considerable support for the two-step flow of information. Almost half the information that originates from the media passes to the masses indirectly via a diffuse intermediate layer of opinion leaders who, although classified as ordinary users, are more connected and more exposed to the media than their followers. The two-step flow theory is also of interest to the advertising industry. A long time ago, advertisers realised that word of mouth and recommendations are a powerful way to sell products. Books like The Anatomy of Buzz are all about how important word of mouth is to advertising campaigns. A lot of campaigns set out to use personal influence by targeting opinion leaders. Anecdotally, this is something we can all probably relate to. We're more likely to buy a product if it's been recommended to us by a friend or someone that we trust. So, what do Al Gore and Coney 2012 have in common? They're both great examples of opinion leaders in action. It's important to remember that Lazarsfeld defined opinion leaders as being respected individuals in the community. They weren't part of the media. They were the type of people that we interact with every day. In the age of social networking, however, prominent celebrities and journalists often sidestep the media altogether and talk with us directly. In some ways, these people, while they might be part of the mass media, meet many of the criteria of opinion leaders. Al Gore is a great example of an opinion leader. In 2008, he was the focus of a documentary called An Inconvenient Truth, which followed his campaign to raise awareness about global warming. He's a great example of someone who pays close attention to an issue and helps to sway public opinion. As part of something called the Climate Project, Al Gore enlisted the help of 1,000 public speakers, what Lazarsfeld might have called opinion leaders, to help spread his message about global warming. The campaign reached an estimated audience of over 1 million people. Kony 2012 is an online video created by a group of activists aiming to have a Ugandan war criminal, Joseph Kony, brought to justice. Virtually overnight, the video and the campaign became a viral success. To generate exposure for the campaign, the activists enlisted the help of several celebrities, including actor George Clooney. The success of the campaign can be attributed to a number of factors, such as its slick production value and its use of social media. But the importance that these opinion leaders played in spreading the message through social networking sites can't be overlooked. The two-step flow theory of communication is superior to the hypodermic needle theory in a number of ways. First, it acknowledges that audiences are composed of individuals who are part of a society. They actively interpret media messages and are influenced by people around them. Of course, this theory has some limitations as well. When we're thinking about modern communication, it's very likely that there's more than two steps in the flow of communication. Nevertheless, the two-step flow theory is still an interesting way to think about communication and media influence.
Okay, so that was it. Now, my question for you and for our discussion is to write, who are your opinion leaders? Okay, so think about who your opinion leaders are. I will give you 5 minutes to just have a think, and in 5 minutes we are going to discuss. Now, any questions regarding the video, or do you want me to give you an example of who the opinion leaders might be, or do you have any examples who they might be in general? Yeah, your personal opinion leaders. Okay, so who are the people that you would rely, or who you actually get your information from? Imagine that when you are not directly reading the news yourselves or watching the news yourself, who is it that passes this information on to you? And now think about the people in your environment who can share information with you, either uh, directly in person, orally, or you can message with your friends about the news and they will tell you about them. Okay, so through social media. Then also you can think about the fact that maybe you are following someone popular on Twitter, or not even popular on Twitter, but you will be scrolling through Twitter and you will have different people's opinions on the news, and you will be actually learning news from second hand from these people, okay, on Twitter, for example, anonymous people, or maybe some prominent people, maybe some activists, maybe some politicians, maybe some popular actors, etc. Or maybe you are following someone on Instagram or elsewhere, okay? So who are these people that are that you consider your personal opinion leaders for you? Okay, so I give you 5 minutes to have a think about this, and then we are going to discuss. Is everyone happy with this?
Yes, but madam,
Yes.
yeah, opinion leaders in some contexts, it sounds not necessarily a national figure, but somebody who has an influence
Yes.
over a domain, over a territory. So I don't know in which category you are looking at it, because opinion leader can be elite or not.
Yes, exactly. Well, it can be anyone. So who is it that you might get the information from? Who is it that might be the person that actually tells you the news? Is it your mother? Does she brief you every day and tell you, I've seen this on the news and this and that, and then you discuss it based on what she has seen? Or is it your friend? Or, is it, I don't know, president of the US, I don't know, that tweets something about the news, and then you will get the actual information.
Yeah, and sometimes too, it will depend on the particular information you are looking for. That will direct you where to go for that information.
Well, you might not be actually looking for them. You will just come across them. I mean, because you are not necessarily looking for the information. That's where the role of the opinion leader comes in. Because if you are looking for information, you are most likely, I would suggest, you are going to go on a news website and you are going to,
Do the
look at the news
research.
yourself. Yeah. But
Yes.
because you are less active, let's imagine that we are less active users who do not actually read the news every day. We will get it in one way or another from someone else that we will communicate with. The news will get to us in some ways. Okay. So who are these opinion leaders? Maybe not necessarily, you wouldn't consider your mother to be an opinion leader, but in this case, if you think about it, opinion leader as a person that actually can, can influence your opinion on certain issues, then it might as well be your mother. Okay.
Right.
Is
Thanks.
that clear now?
Yeah, it's clear to me.
Okay, good. So yes, as I said, 5 minutes and then we will discuss. Yes, Henry. Yes, you have to believe them. That is why they are actually like leaders, because this is actually who tends to influence you. Okay. Okay, so shall we discuss your answers? So Isosa says that your major opinion leaders are peer groups, so friends and folks, okay, and social media. Okay. And who in particular on social media? Is it again just friends? Or are there any other people on social media in particular? And which social media? External blogs, okay. And so what types of blogs? Are they about are there some political blogs or what are they about? Or are they just YouTubers or? News blog centered on politics, sports, and lifestyle. Okay, good. So bloggers, okay. And are these bloggers just like regular people who just became famous with their blog, or were they famous before? If you could just add that. Now, Abdul says that your major opinion leaders is politician. One politician in particular, or politicians? Abdul. And Christian says that yours are usually uh, university professors and research academic professors who are an authority in a particular discipline. Okay. But how do you actually manage to reach this information that they get across? How do you manage to see what they are saying, university professors?
Yeah, some of them I follow them, and I'm connected with their email. So whatever paper that they deliver, whatever research, then they send it to me. Or sometimes, if I want to seek an opinion on an issue, I know whom to contact in a particular academic discipline, who is an authority in that area. For instance, let's say you are an authority or a university professor and lecturer in mass communication. So when it comes to that area, I know that, yes, I have a lecturer who is in that discipline. Therefore, I can approach you for that opinion.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Sounds good.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah. Isosa, yes, so they are regular people, but they became famous because of their blogs. Okay. And Abdul says that a particular politician. Okay, well, that's very interesting because, there is the prevalent idea that people actually don't usually trust politicians. So it's very interesting to actually see that your opinion leader is a particular politician, but good. Anyone else wants to share? Giant, so Joe Rogan and his guests on his podcast, although there are times when you don't agree with their opinions. Okay, that's a great one. Yes, absolutely. Joe Rogan is a person that very often, comments regularly on news and discusses it with his guests. Great. But at times you don't have to agree with their opinions. That's perfectly fine as well. But sometimes you do, and they do they do have some influence on you. Okay, good. Pascal says that yours is an activist who speak against people's marginalization. Okay, and where do you get that information from, or where do you get his communication from? How do you see what he's saying? In which form? Is it your friend, or where do you manage to access what he's saying? Through radio. Okay. And is it which nationality is that activist, and which radio is it? Just out of curiosity. In your country. What is your country, Pascal? Is it Nigeria? Nigeria. Okay, thank you. Henry is saying, may I ask why the media isn't considered as opinion leaders? Well, that's what the whole two-step flow theory is about, Henry. That is the shift from, considering media as the major source of influence on our opinions and on effects on the audience. We actually, what about the people who actually don't watch the media? Okay, so now we are kind of diffusing the power of media, and we are saying, you don't have to necessarily watch the news every evening, but you will have an opinion on what is going on. And how does this happen? Well, it's because some users are less active and some users make less effort to check the news every day, but they will still get information and they will still form their opinions based on something. So what is that something? Well, there is that premise that there are people who are active users, like let's say, for example, me, that I go on BBC or Sky News and The Guardian and all these outlets every morning, and I read the news, and then I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to talk about these news, and we are going to discuss these issues, and I'm going to tell you my opinions on them. And perhaps because you think, as Christian said, that I might be some authority for you, I will be your opinion leader here because I will have some certain credibility in your eyes or whatever. Okay, so this is actually the whole point of the two-step flow theory, is that media do not have the direct effects, but rather the interpretations of these media contents have effects, because we actually tend to trust these people, such as the politicians, such as the academic, such as these bloggers, activists, etc. Okay, so rather than media telling us what to think and how to think about these problems, we will get this information secondhand from someone who already got it from media, let's say. Okay, is that clear?
And sometimes, madam, the media, for instance, in Africa, you realize that politicians own media houses.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's dangerous to use the media as your source of authority or an opinion, because if the media is owned by a ruling party politician, certainly he's always going to discredit the opposition party. And likewise, it's vice versa. If it is being owned by an opposition politician, they are always going to discredit the ruling government. And therefore, sometimes it makes it not credible. I mean, just adding to the answer that you gave, sometimes not credible to use the media in whole, in bulk, as an opinion.
Yes, I mean, you are right. So then we might have actually people who you will trust, and they still might actually talk about the content that you would see on media, but because you think that because they will be interpreting it, or because they will be saying these same things to you, that you actually might believe them rather than if you watched it on the media. Is that what you meant? Or
Yes.
yeah. So yes, definitely. So uh, perhaps that's actually true, that maybe in countries where media are actually regarded to be very biased,
Yes.
maybe this
That is the right word, bias.
then, sorry.
I'm saying that's the right word, bias.
Yes, exactly. So maybe the two-step flow theory would be more prominent in such countries, and then we would actually, yes, people would rely more on these opinion leaders because they would have little trust in media. Whereas, for example, in Britain, perhaps, but again, it's not only about trust. It's not only about the fact, do I trust the BBC or do I not trust them? It's about the fact, do I make the effort as well, just to like go on to the BBC and read this news, or will I just, talk to my friend and he will actually tell me anything important that has happened, and and that's it. But yes, definitely, I think there must be that factor of credibility of the news as well. Actually, that's, I think, a good point.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Henry, blurry. Why blurry? Can I help you to understand it more? And anyone else does have any questions?
Hello, mom.
Was that Henry?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, I said it's blurry because the media, it's more of a personal problem rather than, I should understand this clearly, but I just have a problem with ambiguity. The media goes to a particular place to get information regarding something. Like I mentioned earlier, CNN, BBC, and the information they got from there, they didn't see it happen most of the times. Sometimes they do see it happen, and most times they don't see it happen. They get information from sources, and they report what they got to the mass generally. And so I find it as they getting it from one source to, they are already in the two-step category, not the source in particular, and they disseminating it to us gives the opinion leader. I find them as opinion leaders already, rather than people that are like the main source, and that's why it's quite blurry to me. I don't know if you understand me.
Mm-hmm. So you are saying that the media are the opinion leaders?
Yeah, that is exactly what they are to me.
Mm-hmm. But okay, well, I understand what you are saying, but this is, yes, I know that with Christian we talked about, for example, bias and whether the media report accurately or not.
Exactly.
But this is not the case necessarily with two-step flow. I don't think that originally bias played a prominent role in this theory, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure to what extent bias here actually is placed within this theory. But the main problem here is that not all people, not everyone will watch the news. Okay, so yes, media can report or anything, and they can directly be giving you live footage from a tornado or from a bank robbery or whatever. But the issue is that you might not be watching it. Okay, so therefore you might not be exposed to the news, you might not be exposed to this broadcast, but you will be exposed in some way or another to this news, because there will be someone else who will interpret it for you, who will tell you that this has happened. Okay, so for example, you might really not be interested in reading news every morning, but because you know that, for example, when you go on your favorite blogger's YouTube channel, he will be talking about issues that happened. Okay, so you are not going to go to the primary source for your news, but you will go to the secondary. And in this case, who would be the opinion leader?
Oh, I see.
The blogger. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much.
Is that clearer?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you. It's more like we should restrict the source to the media in whatsoever way we can rather. I don't know if you understand that.
Well, I mean, we can have different opinions on what should be the source for our opinions, but this is a theory which talks about the way, and especially bear in mind that this was a theory from 1940s. Okay, so it's a theory which actually broke the ice then, or broke some new grounds. It was it was kind of revelatory in a way that before that 20s 30s people thought about, oh my god, television, what I watch on the television is definitely what I'm going to believe. We had the direct effects of media, we had the hypodermic needle theory. If media says that oranges are green, then I will actually start thinking that they really are green, for example. Okay, but no, with this group of researchers in the 1940s, we actually had the change of the paradigm, where they said, no, it is not necessarily what the media tells you, but we have these kind of mediators between the outlets and the people who will be the opinion leaders that are actually going to give people the information rather than the media themselves. Okay. Right.
Yes, and then Madam, to add to Henry, normally, you see, as Madam said, the primary source, and then comes to the secondary source. And then the secondary source is usually the bloggers, as Madam said. If you are not careful, the secondary source will be polluted with some kind of twist. Very good. and
Yeah.
therefore it might affect the influence on you. The opinion might affect the genuineness of information that you are seeking for.
Of
Are
course.
you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it will be good that always you go to the primary source. I was happy Madam made mention of the primary source, which is
Yeah.
very good. But if you rely on the secondary, there are people who are always biased and always want to twist, news and
Not
information
necessarily
to suit.
always want to. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily evil. It's just people, they will interpret things in certain ways. I might not want to harm anyone, but
Yeah.
I also adopt certain worldviews. And so when I am presented with certain type of news, for example, refugees crossing the British Channel, I will have a different opinion, and I will probably interpret these news to you in a slightly different way than someone who is very conservative and who is anti-immigration. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So, yeah, we discussed earlier in the semester that everyone has a level of biasness to
Yeah.
himself or herself. And thus, it's not about if we are taking biasness to a very high level, then we won't necessarily trust anyone. It's just that we're trying to like find the person that has this biasness on check, and we trust him or her to at least give as much proper information as we can, as he or she can rather.
Sure.
Oh, I see. Thank you
Yes.
very, very much for your explanation.
But always try to also go to the primary source after you have gotten it
Yeah,
from
not
the
unless we
secondary.
can't find a thing anymore. If
Market.
a
No,
person
you
was
not here,
shared,
you go pass.
yo, Bruce,
You
your
go pass it.
microphone
Not
is
because
on.
you pass for that
Excuse
side.
me. Yeah, excuse me.
You don't go pass it, go market that
Excuse me,
side.
please. Yeah, as I was saying, yeah, please. This is actually a class. I don't know if you understand, because right now it's actually turning to a debate. And Christian, there's a place where we call Padlet. That's where we can actually drop our further questions. You can't just expect to just answer all your questions in a seminar. You understand? The other students who are actually here, and we haven't actually gone further in our class seminar today. You understand? So please, if there's any further questions, you actually just drop in a Padlet. We have a Padlet where it's called living room or discussion board. You drop your further questions. You can't just expect, you don't just drop in on the teachers and cut he or she halfway. You understand? So there's a class going on here, and there are a lot of students who are actually waiting behind. You understand? So that's what I just want to say. This is a class, not a discussion, please. Please, let's just try and get this over with.
Oh, okay. Well, but this was a class discussion, and these were questions that that were to the topic, and this is what the seminars are about. With all due respect to you, I'm not sure if it was Clinton who said this, but this is something that you should do in lectures to discuss these problems. So I'm very happy that Christian and Henry actually raised these questions, and then they wanted to contribute to this discussion. But okay, anyone else has anything to add?
Fine.
Okay, right. So I'm going to move on. So the next thing that we are going to, there is a rather large task here. But we can do that perhaps in the end of the lecture. Now, we are going to look at uses and gratifications theory. Now, I am aware that it's 2:05, so we are going to take a small break, okay, until 1/4, okay? And then we are going to move on to uses and gratifications. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, thank you. See you in a bit.
可立一个比较
Okay, so we shall continue if everyone is back here, back at your computers, your laptops, or whatever you are using. Oops, what happened to this screen? Okay, right. So is everyone back? I saw say yes. Giant is back. Okay, back. Right. I just want to do the registers quickly. I'm just trying to access them. All right, there we go. Okay, so we have week 9. So I'm going to call out your names, and those of you who are here, can you just either message in the chat or just turn on your microphone and just say here or something like that. Okay, so we have Christian. Christian is here. Yeah.
Yes, please, I am here.
Yes. Jamal Khan.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Thank you. Ayushi Parmar. Not here. Lina. Is Lina here? Okay, fine. Isaac Martins. Isaac Martins, not here. Henry is here, yeah. Henry. Ruth.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, Ruth. Ruth, can you hear me? Usama Abbas. Isosa Daniel Justice. Mitchell. Blessing. Blessed King.
I'm here.
Okay. Giant. Malik. Chidinma. Giant, are you there? Isosa Ukponahusi. I'm sorry
Yes,
if
I'm
I'm
here.
sorry if I'm mispronouncing your
It's
name.
correct. It's correct.
Correct.
It's correct. You
Okay.
pronounce it properly. Yes.
Ikechukwu, Pascal Izueke.
Yeah, ma, I'm here.
Okay. Giant, your microphone. Yeah, I couldn't hear you, Giant. I was aware that I heard from you before, but you need to say I am here, because that also, you know, says that also suggests that you are paying attention, because those of you who I not hear anything from and I call out your name and you might be connected, but if you don't say anything, I won't give you attendance, because that means you are just not listening. Clinton, you are here. Great. Abdul Rahman is here, I
Yes,
think.
ma'am.
I'm here.
Okay. And Nwankwo, Ebele Nwankwo.
I'm here.
Did you say you are here? It was very quiet, yeah?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Bea, are you here? And Mitchell, okay. And is Beatrice here? No, she left. Okay, good. Right, thank you. So that's registers done. Okay, so let's have a look at the uses and gratifications theory now. So let's have let's continue. So I'm gonna play this video again to start off with, and then we are gonna look at this theory.
Why are you watching this video? What made you click it? Are you researching or just killing time? Why, for that matter, do you watch any of the videos you watch on YouTube? Why do you watch the movies you watch, play the games you play, and read the papers you read? This is the premise of uses and gratification theory, which we're going to be looking at in this video. One of the earliest areas of research into the media was how the audience and producer engage with each other during the consumption of media. A very popular idea in the early mid-20th century was the effects model, which looked at what the media did to the audience. Think of it as an early moral panic, which suggested audiences are passive, at the mercy of whatever the media tells them. In this model, the power is with the media itself. Uses and gratification, the topic of today's video, is an alternative area of media research, which takes the viewpoint of audiences being active participants in the exchange of media. In other words, they use the media to satisfy their needs. The theory is one which is developed from ideas dating back as far as the 1940s. But it was in the 1970s when researchers such as Blumler, Katz, and McQuail made links between Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how people use the media. In other words, how our basal needs, such as social connection and self-esteem, are gratified by the media. They detailed 4 primary needs that audiences are able to satisfy with the media. Number 1, surveillance, or seeking information. Consider the texts that you read and watch to learn more about the world. Needless to say, these tend to be factual texts. From a personal perspective, it's why I watch the news and documentaries. It's why I read the Times Educational Supplement. It's why I check GameSpot daily for gaming news. It's not necessarily information that I need to know, but it just satisfies my curiosity. The next need that the media might satisfy is a sense of personal identity. These are texts which reinforce your own values or beliefs. I find this particularly poignant in formative years, where you're discovering who you are, what it means to be a man or a woman in the 21st century. Again, from my own experience, it's why I dabbled with men's magazines such as GQ and Men's Health in my late teens. The third area is personal relationships. This is a category that acknowledges one of our most tragic truths in life. At times, we all get a bit lonely. Luckily, we have the media. Consider all those programs you've watched over the years where you feel like you actually know the characters, and worse yet, by the end of the series, you're not sure how you'll live without them. This is all evidence of the powerful bonds we're able to make with figures in the media. And it doesn't need to be exclusively with fictional characters. Consider breakfast radio DJs, columnists you love to read, and so on. Another side of this category is how it enables personal relationships within our own lives. Consider all those TV shows you watch purely because everyone else is watching and talking about them. The final way in which audiences are gratified by the media is through diversion, and to a degree, features in all the text that we watch. Sometimes we just need something to pass the time, or perhaps after a hard day at work, you just want to escape by going on GTA 5 and blowing some stuff up. Whether you end the day by browsing Facebook, reading a magazine, or playing games, you're using the media as a diversion from the mundaneness of the real world. So there you have it. That's uses and gratification in a nutshell. It's usually one of the first media theories that you're taught when you study media. Probably, I think, because of how applicable it is to your own engagement with the media. There's a whole world of research, and we've really just kind of touched the surface here. But it should set you in good stead if you do want to look into it any further. As always, thanks for watching.
Okay, so that was about uses and gratifications. Now, what did you take from this? And we have a question here from someone who is asking, how do you define media? Well, how do we define media? Does anyone have any ideas how we could define media and what we could call media? And we actually had this discussion in the first couple of weeks. So what the media are and what are the forms of mass communication and mass media. So which ones did we define in the first weeks? Which forms of the mass communication or mass media did we mention? Anyone? Any ideas? What are types of media? What media do you have? Is television a medium? Newspapers, televisions, magazines, yes. So it can be written form, it can be audio form, so such as radio, it can be audio-visual form, so television, internet is a new form of digital media, okay? Now we have social media, etc. So these are all types of media. So for the most basic, outline, we can say newspapers, televisions, magazines, radio, internet, social media, okay? So that would be media. Right. So, uses and gratifications model, okay? So, yes, as we previously mentioned, this theory, so together with the two-step flow theory, which was already suggesting this shift from the impacts from studying or from thinking about the impact of media as very significant to less significant and perhaps to more diffused effects. Now we have a more radical shift in focus on studying the media, and this was actually the move away from what impact the media has on audiences towards investigating why or how audiences actually react to the media, okay? And so based on the assumption here that audiences are not passive or powerless, but instead they exercise choice and show agency and an active, consumption, researchers developed the uses and gratifications model. And this explains the process that audiences employ when deciding their response to advertisements, for example. And so do they respond? How do they respond? Do they respond by shopping more or do they ignore it? Okay. Now, the uses and gratifications paradigm views audiences as active seekers of media that best fulfills their needs or that reinforces their existing beliefs and interests, okay? And so using the earlier example, a person looking for a new dress, for example, will actively look out for advertisements for sales on dresses and they will respond positively to them. Whereas a person with no desire for a new outfit will simply do what? They will ignore the advertisements, okay? So the earliest research here in this area was Herta Herzog, and in 1944 she identified emotional needs, wishful thinking, and the desire to learn new things as some of the reasons people turn to media. So we had emotional needs, wishful thinking, and the desire to learn new things. Now, later we had Katz and Lazarsfeld, for example, who built on Herzog's work by recategorizing and expanding this set of motivators. And so they identified 14 different needs, which they categorized under five broad categories. And so these would be the cognitive, and this is where audiences make use of the media to learn. So as you can see in this table, we would have a description of a cognitive need type, for example, that is for acquiring, that audiences seek media to acquire information, knowledge, and comprehension, okay? Media examples of this type of needs that the audiences seek to satisfy with the media use would be news, so television, for example, and news. And now videos, for example, how to install ceramic tile, or how to do your makeup, or how to open a bottle of champagne with a knife or whatever. Okay, or documentaries, etc. So this is where we actually want to learn something from media. So this is the cognitive type of need here. Then we have the affective needs, which is where audiences seek out media content that satisfies their emotional needs, okay? So this is when we want to have an emotional or pleasant or aesthetic experience, and this would be movies, television, including soap operas and series and sitcoms, for example. When we want to have a laugh, we will watch Friends, or when we want to watch at something romantic, when we want to, you know, feel a little bit of love just through the screen, for example, we will watch a rom-com, okay? Personal integrative, so this is when audiences tune in. This is when audiences tune into media content that helps them explore issues related to the construction of their personal identity, okay? So this is a very interesting one. And so, for example, this could be enhancing your credibility, your confidence and status. And so, for example, this could be videos that would be talking about the issues of indigenous people, that could be talking about the issues of racism, or maybe you can be diagnosed with certain illness, and you want to hear some experiences of other people, how they experience this. So you will watch some videos on YouTube with people with similar condition, etc. Now, social integrative is the next type, and this is yeah. So this is when audiences seek out media content that actually explores issues of relevance to their social identity. Okay, so there is a thin line between these two. So again, enhancing connections with family, friends, and so forth would be the main, perhaps, desire here that we would want to satisfy, and this would be, I think, focused mainly a lot on you know, communication. So this would be focused on media that actually provides us with outlet for communication and for establishing connections. Okay, so which type of media would this be mainly? What do you think? This would be perhaps social media, but also in the in the earlier forms, it would be internet in general and email, for example, okay, or chat rooms. And lastly, it is tension release that people look for in media, and so they want to have an outlet for some kind of escape and diversion from their everyday problems, okay? And so they will seek media, and they will see media as something that provides a source of relaxation to audiences. And this is really when you want to switch off after a long day of studying or work, and when turn on the television and you just watch something light or watch something that brings you to a different reality, really, okay, which makes you kind of divert your attention from focusing on your problems to focusing on the plot of the movie and watching the characters get on with their own lives. Okay, so that's that. Now with McQuail, we had just 4 main categories here. So we had diversion, personal relationship, surveillance, and personal identity. Okay, and so this was similar, but here what we didn't have previously was actually the notion of surveillance, which was very much similar to the cognitive needs identified by the previous researchers. But here it's very interesting, actually, surveillance. Instead of just seeking information and knowledge about things such as news or what is happening in the world, can you think of any other surveillance which you actually, any other needs such as surveillance that you want to kind of satisfy through use of any type of media, a particular type of media? What do you think that we could refer to with this notion of surveillance via media? How could you surveil people? What does it mean, surveillance? By collecting personal data, okay. But think about you as a user, think about you as an individual. You don't really have access to collecting people's data unless you are really doing some marketing or something like that.
It can be linked to being alert and monitoring, surveillance, alert and monitoring.
Okay, so you are being alert to what?
To monitor a situation.
To monitor institutions. Okay, that's actually
institution or a situation.
Or situation.
An occurrence.
Okay, yes, that is the primary meaning. I think what we could say that surveillance was. Yes, exactly. People wanted to know what's going on about them. But one particular thing that I was hoping that you could bring up was actually with social media. Don't you think that there is certain element of you that there is this surveillance desire in you, and that's why you go on social media, because you actually want to see what your friends are doing or what the people you follow are doing? Don't you think that's some kind of surveillance? Don't you think that this desire of surveillance now can apply to social media in terms of that we are actually looking at people's pictures in our own home without them knowing that? We look at their stories and and we actually know what exactly they are doing throughout the day if they are sharing this with us. This is the surveillance as well. Okay.
Yeah, they are catching
in
attention.
1994 they didn't have social media, or well, that doesn't have to be 1994. McQuail, a little bit earlier than that, they didn't have social media, but so they referred to surveillance as some kind of, as Christian mentioned, knowing about the world, monitoring situation. But now we have this notion of surveillance with social media as well, and we do it as users, even though we don't say, oh, I use social media for surveillance of people. You say usually that I use social media to connect with my friends, to communicate with them, but not how much time do you actually spend on social media messaging with people out of the total time that you spend on social media. And so what is the rest of that time that what are you doing then on social media? You are scrolling through your news feed and you are looking at others people's content, right? Am I right? Or anyone wants to challenge me? Okay, so here is just an illustration again that kind of expands more on these McQuail's categories, or so we have the 4 categories here, and then we also have some kind of description in the red here and criticism in purple. So for example, diversion, as I already mentioned, people use media to escape from routines, and media usage may make up for lack of satisfaction in work or personal life, okay? Now, personal relationships, again, media may compensate for the decline of community and relationship in our personal lives. Especially, we can apply this to the current situation with COVID. I am sure that I mean, not I am sure, it is the case that I think everyone's use of social media has very much increased throughout this period, because we are not allowed to meet people in person. So therefore we try to compensate for the decline of this of these social interactions by using social media or using any kind of media, really, because you might even find yourself, you know, watching more Netflix than you would usually do because you don't have to go to work, etc. Now we have the personal identity. So this is, well, people may use characters that they identify with to help them make life decisions, for example, or they use Facebook to express identities in ways that they can control, okay? So there are really different ways of looking at the uses and gratifications model based on these categories. Or then we have the surveillance, where people use the media to obtain information about the world, and also interactivity here. Right. Now we have a task. So for the rest of the seminar that I want you to complete. So I want you to make pairs, please. So, or do you want me to tell you who is with whom, just to avoid any confusion? Can I make pairs for you? It will be very random. Yeah, okay, let's do that. So can Lina be with Nwankwo? Lina and Nwankwo. I will make pairs, okay? Is that okay with everyone, or both? Because Ezelo says no. We have 2 no, 2 yes. Pascal says no. Chidinma says yes. Okay, those of you who say no, make pairs and tell me, please, now. And then the rest of you, I will put in pairs. Is that okay? So Ezelo and Blessed, okay. Good. Who else has a pair? Pascal, who are you with? Nwankwo and Clinton, okay. No, Pascal, you can be only with one other person. So Pascal, you can be with Isosa. Or? Okay, Isosa, you're with Pascal. Okay, thank you. Now we have, okay, so can we have Michelle with, with Giant, please? Then we have Clinton, you have a pair. Ruth with Chidinma. Ruth and Chidinma, is that okay? Yeah. Ayushi and Abdul. Lina and Henry. Lina and Henry. Christian, is Christian here? Christian and Jamal.
Okay.
Jamal, are you here? Are you present?
Yes, ma'am, I'm present.
Okay,
Alright.
so Christian and Jamal, okay. You know that you can message with each other via using the direct message feature in the chat, yeah? Everyone should use that, or if you have WhatsApp or something, you can WhatsApp. It's up to you. And who doesn't have a pair, sorry? Does everyone have a pair? Henry and Lina, Mitchell and Giant, Jamal and Christian, I said, Abdul, do you have a pair? I'm not sure if I gave you anyone. Abdul, you can be with Christian and who is Bridgate?
I'm okay with it. I'm
Yeah,
already with Kamal.
we will be 3 of you, Christian, Jamal, and Abdul, okay? So now everyone has a pair or group, yeah? Okay, good. So the task now is going to be that you ask each other to give examples about which media you use for different uses and purposes, and you will fill in the table with their responses, okay? So you will make a file on in your Word document or something, and you will write acquiring first, uses and gratifications, acquiring information, knowledge, comprehension, and you will also put who your partner is, okay? And then you will write what examples they give you. So you will ask them, so what media do you use for acquiring information, knowledge, and comprehension? And they will tell you, I use radio to acquire information. I use radio news shows, or I use TV, okay? Or I use, I don't know, newspapers, etc. Okay? Now, what do I use for emotional, pleasant, or aesthetic experience? But you will not only say television, you will say television news, television talk shows, okay? And then for emotional, pleasant, or aesthetic, again, television, and you will say movies or streaming services, Netflix, movies, sitcoms, etc. Okay, so also concrete examples of what kind of products on the media, okay? Is that clear? So you will make like an interview with the person you are in pair with, and then you will share their answers with us, and we will have a discussion at the end. Okay. So I will give you until 3 p.m. If you need any longer, I can give you 3 more minutes after that, but let's aim for 3 p.m. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, guys. So I am going to, this time starts now, okay? And see you in a bit. Yes, Clinton, we are going to discuss it at the end of the class. But in case we don't manage everyone to get their answers, then if you can send me that in an email, okay? So I would suggest that you all you make a file in Word, for example, and you type your answers there, and you can send it to me if you want, okay? Okay, so the time is up. Does anyone need more time, a couple more minutes, or is everyone happy to continue and to share your answers now? More time? 3 more minutes? Yeah, 3 more minutes? Okay. Okay, so can we all now stop and let's check your answers. So everyone should be ready by now, I'm hoping. Yes, is everyone ready, or would you prefer finishing this task and sending it to me via email? Who wants to share your answers? Guys, are you ready? Or can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes? Okay. So who wants to read out their answers?
Okay, so I'm waiting for Pascal to send me his answers so I can read it out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so concerning, I don't know if you're listening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, concerning the first one, which is acquiring information, knowledge, and comprehension. So it tends to be social media via phones, news, and television. The second one says emotional, pleasant, or an aesthetic experience. Emotional, it comes from movies majorly and documentaries, and those can be watched via computers and televisions too. Newspapers, sorry, enhancing credibility and confidence and status. So those can also be gotten from phones and newspapers. For example, newspaper like Forbes magazine. Okay, so the number 4 said enhancing connection with family, friends, and others. That is definitely social media via Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and other stuff like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
number five says escape and diversion and tension release. For Pascal, I said movies, and for me it's games via phones and computers too.
Okay.
For diversion and distraction.
Yeah, good. Also
So
games.
that's it. So that's it for me and Pascal.
Okay. Thank you. And now we could hear from Pascal, maybe what you said for your answers.
Okay. I think over to Pascal right now.
Thank you, Aisisa.
Yeah, ma, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay. In terms of acquiring information, knowledge, and the comprehensions, television news or radio, listen to news, radio, and the commentaries, uh, talking about the emotional, pleasant, and artistic experience. And also, this can be gotten from movie or, through television, watching social media handles, like Facebook, essentially, and they're talking about enhancing credibility and confidence and status, okay, I can enhance my credibility, confidence, and status through reading of magazine like Bloomberg magazine, varieties magazines also, and also watching, some movies, some, like, prominent actors, and talking about enhancing connection with family, friends, and others, social media handles can do that, like Facebook, Instagram, and the rest of it. Escape and diversion and tensions, that is social media, Facebook can solve these matters for me. So that is it. Thank you, man.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. If anyone else wants to share here yes, Clinton, you can say yours as well, and then I'm gonna kind of give a conclusion. And yes, the rest of you who either you have technical issues with sharing your voice or something like this, yes, please do send me your answers via email. Okay. Clinton, yes, you can.
But can it be said, and can it be said verbally here?
Sorry.
Can it be said verbally here, orally here?
Yes,
Can
you
we
can.
say it?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
But first Clinton, okay, because he asked if he can share his.
All
So
right, okay.
Clinton.
Yeah, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Concerning the acquiring information, knowledge, and comprehension, we have newspaper, magazine, books, film, and internet. Then the next one, which is emotional, actually movies, internet, social media as well. Then in the part of knowledge, in the part of knowledge, we have books, and in in the aspect of enhancing credibility, confidence, and status, we have we have the TV as well over there. And in the aspect of escape diversion, we have billboards. We have no in the aspect of diverse connection and all that. We have billboards and enhancing with family and friends. We have social media, internet, like what Asusa said, Instagram, WhatsApp, means of reaching out to loved ones and family.
Yes. And the last one, I think there was another one down there.
Yeah, the last one, escape.
Aha, escape. You said that. Okay. Okay.
Yes, said it.
Okay. Thank you, Clinton. And who did you work with?
Yeah, I worked with Ebele. She sent me. I worked on the first two. She worked on the third and fourth. Then we both worked on the fifth one.
Okay, so you read them all out. You just read them all out.
Okay. Yes, just to speed time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Christian, did you want to give any answers?
Right. Uses and gratification, acquiring information, knowledge, and comprehension. I'm having news. The news, news on the radio station, television, newspapers, magazines, such as the Catholic Standard newspaper, the Salvatore of Rome, the Catholic Messenger, which are rich with content of information to acquire knowledge directly from them, and with a very good comprehension skills to within them. Yeah. And then when it comes to emotional, pleasant, or aesthetic experiences, it's normally the African movies, or sometimes the foreign action movies. Yes. That's to cool down your emotions and have a pleasant moment. And then enhancing credibility, confidence, and status. That is when I make good use of the university professors, their articles that they have written, papers that they have delivered, both locally and internationally, and also some of their presentations and books, as where I can name a credible source for authentication or otherwise. So when it comes to credibility, that's the area. Also enhancing connections with family, friends, and others. That's through WhatsApp messages, and then WhatsApp platform and groups. And then in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Messenger, and the rest. Yes. And escape and diversion and tension release. Well, sometimes you just listen to, you just pick an article, a jovial article, and then be reading to escape and divert such tension and release yourself from an ease. Yes, please.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. I think that these are all really good examples. I wanted to, highlight one of your answers was that someone said enhancing, sorry, I just don't see the bottom one. That was the diversion, escape and diversion and tension release. And someone said video games. And yes, it is, it can be classed definitely as media, for example, or you can even play online games. So internet, okay? But that was a good one, for example. And then also with the enhancing connections with family, friends, and others, again, so this would be social media definitely, and communication, online-based communication tools, such as email or chat rooms, or even, for example, Padlet could be considered, the way we are using it. For example, we have the chat room there. So yes, we are kind of enhancing connections with each other there. But it's also about acquiring some information. So for example, Padlet could also be in that category if we think about it. in that way. Then enhancing credibility, confidence, and status. Yes, again, think about YouTube videos that teach you something, you know, tutorials, etc. Watching online lectures on YouTube, for example, but also, as you correctly said, magazines such as Forbes, for example, Bloomberg, etc. So these are kind of like specialized ones. Okay. Emotional, pleasant, and aesthetic experiences. Again, this could be, you know, most commonly you said films and movies and that. But of course, could be, you know, again, I thought, for example, watching videos on YouTube of people painting, okay, or all kinds of things. Or do you remember from last time when I'm not sure who was it, Henry, he shared this Chinese or Japanese, the girl that was cooking, you know, that was also very much pleasant aesthetic experience, okay? So not necessarily only movies, okay? So think about, you know, beyond this established kind of media forms, and think about the internet, which has now probably any kind of desire or any kind of offers any kind of gratification and use, really. Okay. Right. Now Chidinma also wants to share yours. It is 1 minute. Yes. Okay. Quickly. Let's do it.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I was with Ruth. For the first one, acquiring information, knowledge, comprehension, hours on social media, podcasts, books, especially Twitter, Facebook, and Quora. Then for emotional, pleasant, and aesthetic experience, movies, documentaries, enhancing credibility, confidence, and status, social media, magazines, connection with family, social media, WhatsApp and Facebook, especially escape and diversion, tension release, music, social media, games, and yes, that's all. I was with Ruth.
Okay, so that's for both of you, right?
Yes, both of us.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yes, some very good answers. Thank you. So, and that's it. We are already kind of running over our time limit, so I don't want to keep you here much longer. Thank you very much for the cooperation. Those of you who haven't shared your answers, please do email me your answers, okay? Those of you who feel like you have shared them, but you still, you know, you have a Word document, why not? You can share it with me. You can send it to me. I do have folders with your names, and I will put it in there. And, you know, in case that there is sometimes a dispute over, you know, when your grade is borderline or something, you know, this will count as kind of attendance or like engagement, and it can help you get a better grade in the end. Okay.
Yeah, for the better grade, I'm worried because I came late. I joined classes late, reported to the UK just a week ago.
Christian,
So
we need to, this is for, again, individual discussion. If
sure.
anything,
All
please
right.
do let me know, because, you know, I can't be discussing with 50
Yeah,
members.
I'll send you a mail. Yes,
okay.
please.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. And now Pascal is asking if there is a way to access the Blackboard recordings. Guys, those of you who haven't got any more questions, you are free to leave. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly reply to some of these questions here. So thank you very much, and see you on Thursday. Okay, thanks. Now Pascal, without a code, well, but there should be the codes, there should be the passwords for each of them. There should be in the description, no? The password should be in the, for the Zoom recordings. Yeah, the password should be always there in the description. So you just take that and then you click on the web link on Blackboard that goes to the recording. Okay? Password or passcode. Yeah? How is it not compatible? I don't know. I just take the password that it gives me. Please email me. Please email me and tell me which ones you cannot access, okay? Send me the concrete link if you can or something, okay? Okay, right. Okay, Ayushi, please, can you just fill in this table? Can you just answer these questions that you can see on the screen and send it to me via email? Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye.